Hello and welcome back to the third video on rhythm basics. So far in the first two videos we've gone over the heartbeat in music as opposed to rhythm. Heartbeat is often shortened to beat, and rhythm being our different note values as they're longer and shorter. We've also gone over measures, also known as bars, and the lines that separate them called measure lines or bar lines, including our final measure line or bar line, which is like a stop sign in music and tells you you don't need to keep going, you can stop for now, as well as time signatures or meters, tempo, which just tells us how fast our beat is going, and finally our first three rhythm values: quarter, half, and whole, taking 1, 2, and 4 beats each. If you're fuzzy on any of those concepts, you might want to go back and watch the earlier videos again or do some more exercises, because we're going to go on assuming that you have all of that down and you have all of it straight and memorized and you can work with it very easily. So let's say we start with an example of 4/4, and we're going to write our own music. We're going to write our own rhythm in this example. Let's say I want to be able to tell the person playing this, I want to write this down so somebody else could play it, and I want them to have a break at some point in there. Music isn't just made of sound, it's also made of silence. Imagine if we were listening to an orchestra and it only had all of the instruments in there playing at full volume the entire time. That sounds like kind of a headache to me. We need some way to also give silence. So let's write this with notes first, and then we're going to replace some of those notes with rests, which tell us to take a little break there, each of them having different lengths. So 4/4, let's start with a quarter note, and then go to a half note, and then another quarter note, and finally we'll do a whole note down here. This one takes 1 beat. Remember, this little thief only steals 1 beat. This one takes 2 beats, next 2 beats up are 2 and 3, and finally this one takes beat 4, before this one takes 1, 2, 3, and 4. Since it is our whole note and we are in 4/4, it takes all 4 beats. Let's do this example together. 1, 2, clapping and counting, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, let's say instead of playing this one right here, I wanted to tell the person to have silence for 1 beat instead of having a note for 1 beat. Then I need to replace this note with a rest. A rest is still going to take up time. It's still a thief. It's just a silent thief. Let's say it's a ninja. If we wanted a rest that steals 1 beat, just like our quarter note does, we're going to write a quarter rest, which looks like this. If you want help writing it, because it is a funny looking little symbol there, you can draw a zigzag and then a little swirl at the end, just like that. I apologize for the extra noise. So that is something that takes 1 beat. That is a quarter rest. Quarter because it's the same length, rest because we have no sound, we just have silence there. I'm going to put this in parentheses, you can see here I just did, because we're not going to clap during that, we're going to have silence. We're still going to say the number, because it still takes that beat, but we're going to say it very quietly and keep our hands apart. Here's your example. 1, 2, ready, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. Now, let's take this away and just look at this in a slightly different way to give our equivalents here, meaning our rests that take the same value. So we just got our quarter rest, and both the quarter note and the rest take 1 beat. We also have a half note, and we have a half rest, which kind of looks like a top hat. You just draw it on top of the line, and that gets 2 beats. Finally, we have our whole note and our whole rest. Whole and half rests look very similar. It's just that the whole rest looks like a little top hat. I can draw you a little dude down here that's wearing the hat. Little snowman dude, apparently. Whereas the whole rest looks like, well, if I had a little person walking along, they're going to fall in that hole, which is kind of a nice trick to remember that it is a whole rest, and just like the whole note, therefore it gets 4 beats. So There is an image in this same folder showing you how long each of these are and their names. Feel free to reference that whenever you need to keep all of these straight. You might even want to pull that up now in a different video or in a different tab, because I'm going to keep going right along here. Let's do an example in 6/4. 6/4 means we have how many beats in a measure? We have 6 beats in a measure. So let's start it with a note. We'll start with a half note. That's going to take beats 1 and 2. Then, let's say I want a half rest. I draw that on top just like this. That will take beats 3 and 4. And then let's go for a quarter note, which will take beat 5, and a quarter rest, which will take beat 6. Finally down here, let's do a whole rest. A whole rest is going to take how many beats? A whole note takes 4 beats, so a whole rest does the same. Taking 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's just finish out with a half note right here, taking beats 5 and 6. Try clapping and counting this one with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, ready and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, ready and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. Oh, I'm so sorry. I messed up there. Let's try that again. Ready and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just as a reminder for you and for me, keep your eyes on the board when you're doing a rhythm example, because it's a little hard to read if you can't see what you're reading. That's what I just did to myself. Anyway, I hope that gets you cleared up on the difference between notes and rests, and gets you started on the quarter rest, taking 1 beat, the half rest, taking 2 beats, and the whole rest, taking 4 beats. Just as one last note, again, I will use the word rhythm value pretty often in class. And a rhythm value just refers to how much space a note or a rest takes. For example here, both of these take 1 beat. So even though this one's a note and this one's a rest, they have the same rhythm value. They're both quarters. They both take 1 beat, even though one's a note and one's a rest. These two right here both take 2 beats. They're both halves, even though this is a half note and this is a half rest. And I'll change this little guy down here to a whole for an example. This is a whole note and a whole rest. Each take 4 beats. They have the same value, even though this one's silent and this one makes noise. I hope that clears up any confusion, and I'll see you in the next video. Look in the same folder for an exercise to practice this, by the way. Hope you have a lovely rest of your day.